بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ويل لكل همزة لمزة الذي جمع مالا وعدده يحسب أن ماله أخلده كلا لينبذن في الحطمة وما أدراك ما الحطمة نار الله الموقدة التي تطلع على الأفئدة إنها عليهم مؤصدة في عمد ممددة.
In the Shade of the Qur'an by Sayyid Qutb, translated by M.A. Salahi and A.A. Shamis for World Assembly of Muslim Youth. Surah 104, Surah Al-Humazah, the Slanderer. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Woe to every taunting slanderer and backbiter who piles up wealth and keeps counting it again and again, thinking that his wealth will make him immortal. By no means. He will indeed be flung into the crushing one. Would that you know what the crushing one is? It is Allah's own kindled fire, which rages over man's heart. It is close on them from every side in towering columns. This surah portrays one of the actual scenes in the early days of the Islamic core. Yet this scene is a pattern which is repeated in every environment and society. It is the scene of the vile, mean one who is given wealth and uses it to tyrannize over others, until even he cannot bear himself. He thinks that wealth is the supreme value in life, the value before which all values and all standards come toppling down. He feels that since he possesses wealth, he controls other people's destiny without being accountable for anything he does. He imagines that his money and his wealth is a god capable of everything without exception, even of resisting death, making him immortal and stopping the judgment of Allah and his retribution. Deluded as he is by the power of his wealth, he counts it and takes pleasure in counting it again and again. A wicked vanity is let loose in his being, which drives him on to mock other people's position and dignity, to taunt and slander them. He criticizes others with his tongue, mocks them with his movement, either by imitating their movements and voices or by ridiculing their looks and features, by words and mimicry, by taunts and slander. It is a vile and debased picture, one of the pictures of one of the pictures of human beings devoid of the ideals of manhood and generosity and stripped of faith. Islam despises these abject sorts of people because of its own high standards of morality. Islam emphatically forbids mockery and ridicule and fault-finding in others. But in this case, the Quran describes these actions as sordid and ugly and adds warning and threats to anyone who indulges in them. This suggests that it is referring to an actual case of some polities who have subjected the Prophet and the believers to their taunts and slander. The reply to this action comes in the form of strong prohibition, and fearful warning. There are some reports which name certain people as being the traducers mentioned here, but they are not authentic, so I will not discuss them, but shall be content with what I have just stated. The warning comes in the form of a scene of the hereafter, portraying the mental and physical sufferings and giving an image of hell, which is both palpable and telling. It takes care to relate the crime to the punishment inflicted and to its effect on the culprit. On the one side, there is the image of the taunting slanderer and backbiter, who is given to mocking other people and ridiculing them while he gathers wealth, thinking that he is guaranteed mortality in this way. This image of the cynical calumniator who seeks power through wealth is contrasted with the image of the sighted, neglected one flung into a crushing instrument which destroys all that comes in its way and thus crushes his structure and his pride. This crushing instrument is Allah's own kindled fire. Its identification as the fire of Allah suggests that it is an exceptional, unfamiliar sort of fire and makes it sound full of terror. This fire rages over his heart and mind, from which spring mockery and ridicule, and in which lies vanity and conceit. The fire rages over his heart and mind, from which spring mockery and ridicule, and in which lies vanity and conceit. To complete the image of the slighted, neglected, and crushed, this fire closes in on him from all directions and locks him in. None can save him, and none asks about him. Inside, he is tied to a column as animals are tied without respect. The tone of the vocabulary used in this surah is very strong. Keeps counting it again and again. By no means, he will indeed be flung, rages, towering. In the meaning of the expressions, forcefulness is conveyed by various forms of emphasis. He will indeed be flung into the crushing one. Would that you knew what the crushing one is? It is Allah's own kindled fire. The generalization and cryptic expression first, then the exclamation suggesting great horrors, and then the clear answer. All these are forms of forceful expression. The style also conveys warning. Woe! You'll be flung into the crushing one. Allah's kindled fire, which rages over men's heart. It is closed on them in towering columns. In all this, there is a kind of harmony between imagery and feelings and the action of the taunting slanderer and the backbiter. At the time of its revelation, the Quran was swallowing up the incidents faced by the Islamic core and leading it simultaneously along its road. The Quran is the infallible weapon which destroys the cunning of the conspirators, shakes the hearts of enemies, and fills the believers with courage and steadfastness. Indeed, we recognize two significant facts in Allah's care here as He denounces this sordid example. First, we are shown the ugliness of moral decline and how people are rendered to abject. Secondly, we realize that He defends the believers, preserves their souls, against their enemies' insult shows them that Allah knows and hates what is inflicted on them, and that He will punish the wrongdoers. This is enough to elevate their souls and to make them feel their position high above any wicked design. Subhanallah, walhamdulillah, wa la ilaha illallah, wallahu akbar, wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi al-aliyyil azim, wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi al-aliyyil azim, wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi al-aliyyil azim.